Hey, this is Winter with the Shift Spotlight, and today I'm here with Raquel, CEO, and Demetrio, COO of Stafi. Welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
having us.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I like to start out with a little bit of fun, then we're going to dive into what you do. But before we get there, why don't each of you share with our audience an interesting fact about you that people may not know?
All right, I'll get started. I didn't have television until I was 18 years old.
That's interesting.
I was raised without a television.
And you're probably better for it, right?
I love it. Now I thank my parents for it. We actually limit how much TV our 8-year-old daughter can watch. And
Right.
I think that, and I think due to that, I have a very active imagination. I'm very creative.
Yeah.
I love that.
Wow. I don't know if I can top that. So
Probably not.
Definitely not. I want to say I'm not wearing any underwear right now, but that was so no. I think I was in choir, which is funny because I have a horrible voice. So that's what I thought.
That's funny. Yeah, people do not know that about you, Demetrio, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so why don't you tell our listeners at a high level, what is it that you do?
Yes. So before we get to what we do, I like to talk about what pain points we are trying to solve for the business owner in regards to hiring and finding talent. And the pain points are, one, not knowing where to get talent. And most business owners rely on one interview only when making a decision and they're left to chance. Two, the cost of talent being exorbitant and continuing to go up in the US. Number three, the lack of time that the business owner have to properly onboard to continue to manage that person and to continue to train that person. We hear that all the time. The number four is being overworked and at the verge of burnout and not being able to take on the next steps and delegate whatever that is. And how do we solve for those problems? Well, we provide highly qualified, vetted and trained virtual staff who are all in Latin America that cost much less than hiring someone locally here in the US. We hire them. They're all college educated. They all have years of experience, so they're seasoned professionals. We train them in-house, and once they graduate from our program and our university and training program, we assign them as a service to the business owner. And once we assign that person to you, we have an entire team on our side that will help that person day in and day out. We'll help co-manage the person. We train them, we onboard them, and we are there to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to and they're adding value to your business day in and day out.
Interesting. So what motivated you to start this business?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that having come from large corporations in the US that did business globally, it was evident that you could have the best people working for you that weren't next to you, that were anywhere in the world. And so we realized that ourselves, and we grew very large teams worldwide. And of course, when you're a global company, you have entities everywhere, then you can do that. As a small business owner or medium business owners, you can't do that. So that's what we bring to at a very basic level. That's what we're doing for you. So we're making you global. You can hire from anywhere and get the best talent at a very reasonable rate and make sure that this person is doing exactly what you need, because it takes a lot of time to also manage people. You want to get tasks given to someone and you want to make sure they give those tasks. And so what we do a lot of times is just help that person make sure they know how to do that task the best possible way for our client.
Yeah, and we've seen that a lot here. What we do at the Shift Spot is, the CEO is overwhelmed.
Yeah.
They tend to hire the first person they like, not necessarily the person that actually meets the qualifications. They're like, hey, I like them. And then that just, brings a process of they come on, they don't fit, they don't work, and they're back doing this again. So you kind of nip that in the bud for them on the front end. What roles do you end up hiring for different companies?
So executive assistants, receptionists, intake, and sales personnel, marketing assistants, legal assistants, and paralegals are the roles that we supply the most.
Project managers as well, I think. It's interesting, what you just said right now is that sometimes someone that's very salesy, you know, you have an interview with them, you really like them, but the kind of work they have to do is very detail oriented. And usually people that are very good at sales and are very, you know, open to have communications are not generally the best people in doing administrative work. So sometimes the very quiet introverted type is going to do a lot better job at something else. So we have a whole screening. We look at over 1,000 people a month, 1,000 to 1,200 people a month, and we hire around 10. So that's because we make sure that they're fitting the right profile that we think is best for that client, for that role.
Right.
Yeah.
How are you attracting this talent?
So we have relationships. We have lots of job boards all over Latin America. Everyone that works for us is in Latin America, so from Mexico down to Argentina. We have relationships with universities, with different government institutions that know of different people in different areas to work. So we have multiple ways, and we put ourselves out there. You know, we do a lot of marketing. The people that work for us are very happy because they're not there on their own. They have a whole support mechanism, including a psychologist. I don't know, Raquel, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, I am a psychologist myself, and mental health has always been a priority to me. I believe that having a safe space where you can talk about your emotions and to elaborate on things that are going on in your life is as important as going to the gym daily. So we do have our coaches who are mental health and psychologists, mental health professionals and psychologists. And all of our staff, they have regular check-ins with them on a weekly basis to have that safe space. And that is it's very correlated with the performance of someone to be able to work your emotions.
And, you know, I know that owners care how their staff feels, but sometimes they're just so busy, they don't actually take a minute to slow down and say, hey, look, let's do a quick check-in.
Yeah.
How are you at me delivering these tasks to you? You know, how do you feel about the way I communicate? Is there anything I could improve upon? You know, and often the people don't know how to speak up and say, you know, wish you would explain things a little slower or whatever. But even that little shift, you know, is really important. And I think when you have something like this where and it's such a big topic these days. I don't want to say it's a topic, but it's important. Mental health is being talked about more than ever has before. So having that is a great, unique idea, something unique that I haven't heard other companies, you know, similar to yours offer.
And our approach, I mean, obviously we want to make sure that people feel good and they like what they work, but it's also about their performance, right? So if you're the boss and you give someone an assignment, and you don't give instructions how to do that assignment, and that causes me stress. And I can talk to someone internally and say, oh, I just got this assignment, I don't know how to approach it. Because some of our coaches are psychologists, some of our coaches are more tactical, and they'll say, okay, well, look, make a list, you know, put this in Excel, and they'll give some instructions to kind of help the person. Or they might just say, hey, call Winter and ask her how she wants this delivered. If she didn't tell you, she's too busy. Maybe you need to just go back to her. As simple as that.
Yeah, this set of coaches that we have working with the representative assigned is like, it's a high value that our clients perceive from working with us, for sure.
Right. Okay. So you've scaled pretty quickly. How long has this company been around?
We've been around.
We started in technology, which is our background, and that started like 8 years ago. But we moved from offering services to large corporations like AT&T and Verizon and the such to going to much smaller businesses. So that's probably like 3 years.
Can I just chime in here really quick? Do you remember Singular in Miami?
Of course.
I had a phone with Singular in Miami, and then it went out of business.
Well, it was purchased by Bell South, and then was purchased by AT&T.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Sorry. I just had to flashback.
So Demetrio was saying that our background is in large corporate America in the high tech space, and our first clients, they come from that industry because they have been taking advantage of highly qualified talent that are all over the world. And with the whole pandemic, everyone got exposed with the possibility of working from a collaboration tool and using Zoom and Google Meets, so on. So we started shifting to working with these large corporations to helping the small business owners, because they are the ones who need the most help. They don't know how to grow and scale properly. And we saw a huge opportunity to start helping them, because we are also entrepreneurs and business owners, and we are successful. And we have that background from working with large corporations and understanding the importance of processes, and we are able to grow and scale, and we wanted to help them. So that's when we shifted, and we love it. We're very passionate about helping business owners.
Yeah.
I love that you use the word shift, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
And you know, I can agree with that statement too. It's the small to medium businesses, they do tend to need the most help. They're the ones that have the biggest, hardest time of letting things go and delegating. Whereas in corporate America, you know, you're skilled and you're trained on how to let things go. You have to let things go. But the typical owner, they do need the support. They don't need to be doing the 10, 15, 20 hour a job, you know, work. They need to be doing the high level job. And we had a little off-room chat, you know, do you know what you're worth? Absolutely. I've calculated what I'm worth. And it took me even a long time, even though I've been a CEO for 20 years, you know, to let go of things. It still took me a while. So, so you said that, you know, you've grown, you've got some success. And so along that, you know, I'm sure you made some mistakes, but before we talk about those, why don't you tell us something that you did right? And you might not have even known that it was something you did right.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I think, you know, and it kind of goes back to what you just said a minute ago, is that sometimes we want to make these really big shifts, and sometimes you need to make a bunch of little shifts.
Yeah.
So I use the word shift 3 times there.
I love it. Keep going.
So little improvements, you know, little improvements are really the way to go, because sometimes when you try to do too much at one time, it just doesn't work. And so it's always about versions. And even in our own teams, we see them trying to take too big of a bite. And it's like, look, let's just make it a little bit better. It doesn't have to be perfect, just make it a little bit better. And then tomorrow we'll look at it again and we'll make it a little bit better. And that's okay. It doesn't have to get fixed in one day.
Yeah.
I think for me is really being able to listen to my gut and acting on it. I think it's a big one that I think it took years to become more confident in listening to my gut. And I feel that business owners, if they can start doing that from early on, and being open to what you're seeing out there, right? Because maybe you start one way, but you need to shift, knowing that it's okay to take a turn and acting on it.
Right.
I think it's very important.
And,
I
and
think
from a mistake perspective, just to answer that part, because I think it's a good place to kind of be honest. There, as a business owner, you're always worried about bringing in more revenue and making more money, and you sometimes take in the wrong customer.
Right.
And
I love that one.
the bloodsuckers, they, you know, pay the least and they suck the most time, energy, effort, and everything out of you.
Know your
That's
worth.
something I learned early on. If you don't want to pay my fee, we don't want to work together. I'm not gonna
Absolutely.
convince you.
No, and having and knowing your, you know, and knowing not only want to pay your fee, but who are they? Are they the right personality avatar? Like, you know your avatar and know your worth. I think it's very important.
And I think like if you think about customers that come to you, they know that they need help. They're open to that, and so they're coming willingly to, and they're open to the change. Same thing with us. Like we see customers that come to us, and they have there's 1,000 reasons not to do it, and it's like, well, why are we even talking? You know, like it's okay. We don't have to do business together. So it's great. It's great when you see someone that wants help and you can help them. Obviously, that's true for your business as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think with CEOs, they are so in it with the day-to-day. They are involved in every facet of the business, and they actually lose sight and complete control of how to trust their gut because they're just reactive. And until you can get some support, whatever that looks like, whether it's through a company like Stafi, whether it's through a company like the Shift Spot. But until you can get that support, I think it becomes really difficult for CEOs to trust their gut. So they make these decisions and bam, there's a ramification of that decision. And now another one gets made and bam, there's another ramification. And it's not, and then they sit back and they go, why did I even start this business in the first place when it really started at the top from doing too much and not having the right support? So,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you guys are doing great work in the world. So what has been the most difficult part of your COO, CEO journey with Stafi?
I think there's always an opportunity to delegate more and to free up more of your time. Like Demetrio was telling me, I think you should start delegating this, but I was thinking, but I love doing that. Why would I? But you know what? What are the wonderful more other things that I can do if I free that up? And
Right.
I think that always looking into yourself and being honest and knowing that you need to do a regular check of other things that can be delegated. So that you can do more other great things and more wonderful things. I think it's something that doesn't end, and I love it. It keeps you on your toes, you know?
Yeah, I mean, being in the business, you gotta eat your own dog food, as they say, right? So we're in the business of providing personnel so that CEOs can focus on what's important, right? Like if you're gonna, for example, if we think about what you guys do, and you want to send your managers to training. Well, managers have a bunch of work to do. Then they can't go to the training because they have so much work to do. They need
Right.
people that they can delegate to. They need people that support them so that the whole business can grow. So we're always thinking about, it's not, sometimes we have these conversations with the owner and we realize that they're actually okay. It's the people underneath that need help, right? And they need help through coaching, like the kind that you do, but they also need help with personnel to do that work, because sometimes they just don't, they're too overloaded with work. So
Right.
that's something that we're
Or
always
just
looking
quitting.
at own staff. Yeah.
You don't want, you want to avoid that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, where do you see yourself investing resources for growth over the next year?
Technology. We're kind of going back to our roots. We're building, we have already built some AI modules to help with intake and calls coming in to our customers. And we want to do that in a more digital way. So both with people and digitally. So we're investing a lot of money and resources on that as we scale our,
Yeah.
it's our on-demand business versus our dedicated business.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the on-demand business that we launched 4 months ago is live 24-hour, 24/7 live receptionist and intake for immigration law firms exclusively right now. But our goal is to expand that to other types of law.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. What's the best piece of advice you've received as a leader?
That I've received. I think always persistence, be persistent. Don't let go of your that's the best piece of advice that I've received.
I would say don't try to do too much. Focus.
Yeah. Yeah. When you try to do too much and you're trying to serve everything, you end up serving nobody, is what I've really learned.
Yeah.
So do one thing really, really well. And when that's nailed, then you can branch off into the next thing and you enjoy it a lot more too. I think I normally don't ask myself this question, but I'm going to chime in here too. I think the best advice I received was to celebrate the wins, no matter how small, because I think is, typically high drive people, we, get a win and then it's like, what else can we do? And next, and, blah, blah, blah. But like, sometimes you just really have to slow down and say like, wow, I pulled in my first 5 customers. I made it, a year in business. Whatever the little things are, and that goes for life too, right? Because I think sometimes you get these little wins in life and you're like, what's the next one? What's the next win? So, so if somebody was listening, wanted to take the next steps with you, what should they do?
They'll go to our website, so www.stafi.cc, and Stafi, Stafi, and click on Get Started. You can schedule a free consultation with our team where we'll do run an analysis and you know, in your needs and everything that is going on. And from there, we'll be able to run a recommendation. And let's do a promo for the listeners who are interested in taking the next step. And let's offer a $500 off of the first month of service. And they can put the code ShiftSpot.
Just shift.
Or shift, yeah, put shift, because we're all about making
Shift.
radical shifts.
There you go. Yes.
Cool.
Okay, well, it was such a pleasure having you. I look forward to see what Stafi does and how it continues to grow.
Wonderful. Thank you so
Beautiful.
much.
Thank you so much, Linda. It was great being here with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.